Hi, Professor. I'm Victoria Steinbrecher, and I'm doing my self-assessment. I'm in the San Juan Islands right now, actually, so you can see the pretty view behind me. It's really nice here. My goals for this class were to explore different media fields in order to find a career, because I've always found media pretty interesting. I was kind of focused on marketing, and so I was looking into that, and taking this class for that purpose. Addressing some of the course objectives and goals. So in this class, dealing with the relationship between media and culture and different economic structures and political parties. I learned a lot about the historical events and everything. One of the big topics we talked about was how when introducing a new media, our culture kind of changes to adapt to it. So our culture's work will change, like people get new jobs in this new media field, and people's recreation activities change. So like when movies came out, people went to movies all the time until TV came out, and this new media, people stayed home and they watched on their TVs. So people just use their free time differently when new media comes out, but they still use the old media. When a new media platform comes out, the old media platform changes. So one example of this we learned in class was how radio adapted to TV's start when it took on music, as opposed to having as many radio shows, because TV stole radio's platforms for like comedy and drama. So radio really had to play more music to stay alive, because music was cheap. Another way influence that media had on culture and culture had on media was the youth culture and rock and roll. The teens listen to different music than their parents, so it actually helped African American artists get popular. Learning about the different structures and functions of media was done mainly by the chapter summaries we would do. When we would evaluate each chapter we learned about, we would do an activity in class a lot of times, and this really helped me just to understand like how these platforms are used and how they are created in order to get to the masses. So a lot of the activities we did were creating things for ourselves, and these I found really interesting and helpful. Like the time one of the chapter groups had us make a magazine cover, and this helped us like learn the vocabulary and to kind of create something that we could market to people and that people would want to buy. And it's the same with when we made a radio station and we published a book. We just had to focus on who our audience was and how we were going to get it to people, how we were going to fund this stuff, what genre the book was going to be, or what the radio station was going to play. And this really helped me to compare it to real life situations and to kind of understand how people in the real world are actually getting this stuff and selling this stuff. So I really like the chapter summaries. A couple historical events that stood out to me that how media influenced the masses were a few of them were in radio, like when radio broadcasted the presidential election. And this was a big way for radio to show that it could bring news to the masses way before print could. The election could give the people the information they wanted in the evening, and print could only compete by getting it to them the next morning. Another was when people thought aliens were landing on Earth. This still cracks me up, just because it was broadcasted on radio, and someone was, I think, retelling a story from a book, I think, that people actually freaked out and like fled because they thought aliens were actually landing on Earth. More interesting historical events were on late night television. TV interviews by like Johnny Carson, with important celebrities and politicians would spread news and opinions, and these were big historic moments. So a few of my weaknesses and strengths in this class showed themselves when I was doing projects. I'm interested in marketing, So when I learned in the advertising section of the class that a lot of the marketing is through social media now, that was kind of daunting to me because I'm not a big social media person. I have a Facebook and an Instagram, but I rarely go on them. I don't actually know how to use them all that well. So learning that a lot of media is on like Twitter and Facebook and advertising is really getting out that way makes me a little nervous. So that's something I'll definitely have to work on, getting caught up with that technology. Advertising was also my favorite part of the class, just because I found a lot of the ads we watched really interesting and inspiring. The way that the creative ones were really successful and actually made people buy the product. And I've always seen myself as creative as one of my strengths. So I'm excited to go into marketing, and I feel like this class has helped me kind of pinpoint my interests. Our critical analysis we did have helped teach me creativity and thinking outside the box. Just having to present in creative ways all of the material we have, and thinking of how we can actually like integrate the material into the presentation in a creative way, I found really challenging but also fun. So I definitely think I'll apply the skills I learned doing the critical analysis to a career in marketing. So I'm excited to take all my newfound skills into the job field, and I thank you for a great quarter.